Hey everyone, it is Sequoia with the Chase Street Renaissance, and I'm back with another quick video. I wanted to follow up with you guys about these molds from Modern Craft Lab and the molds from Shapemakery. My last video, I kind of gave a side-by-side comparison of both the molds, and this afternoon I actually poured some cement in both, and I wanted to unmold them for you so you could see the difference. I did the molds for the jars and the lids. So I'm gonna unmold all of those. I'm gonna change my angle a little bit, but that's basically what I'm gonna do today is just unmold them for you so you can get a real glimpse at how I unmold them and kind of hopefully be able to see the differences in how difficult it is to unmold one in comparison to the other. So before I change my angle, I'm gonna cue that intro, okay? Okay, so the lids are pretty easy to unmold, so I'm gonna unmold them before I actually change my angle, so I lied. Bubbles. So what I do is I just go around the mold all the way around 360 and break the seal. And if you let it sit long enough, you don't have to worry about being gentle. And then you just pop it right out. Now this is the one from Modern Craft Lab. Now I have some defects here. My mixture was a little thicker than I generally like it for the lid for this one. And I have some defects here, some bubbles and things like that. Is it a huge deal? No. Can I still use the jar? Yes. Or the lid? Yes. But I probably won't. And that is what it looks like. So I'm not too worried about how wet it is or how wet it looks right there, that spot right there, because as it dries, I'm sure that'll look like the rest of the jar. And I'm not sure if you can tell, but it looks kind of rustic and kind of blotchy in the center there. As that dries, it'll smooth right out. So that's why you want to continue to let your jars and your lids dry for at least another 24 hours. At least that's what I do after I unmold. So that's the lid. You can tell that the lid is a little bit thinner. Well, before you see the other one, it's a little thin. And that's what we have for the lid for Modern Craft Lab. That's the bigger one. So I'm only gonna do one of the lids for Shapemakery. Much smaller in comparison. So the entire size of the lid finished product is bigger than the mold itself. So we know that this is already gonna be much smaller. So I do the same thing. Ew, my hand's ashy. Gross. I do the same thing. I gotta put some lotion on. This is unacceptable and slightly irresponsible. Pull that right out. I had to pause and put some lotion in my hands because that was rough. Anyway, so kind of the same thing. Disregard that little red spot there. That just means that I probably didn't clean the mold well enough and there was still some residue from some red pigment that I used, but not a huge deal to me. But you can tell it still looks a little bit rustic there in the center. But like I said, once it dries, that will go away. So in comparison, you have, I personally like how thick the lid is from Shapemakery in comparison to the one from Modern Craft Labs. I think because the jar is so big from Modern Craft Labs, they could stand to make their lid a little bit thicker. It just would look a little better in my opinion. But like I said, I like the one from Shapemakery much better. So those are the lids, and I'm gonna change my angle and then we're gonna see how I unmold my jars. Okay, so this angle is a little different. So we've already done the lids. We'll set those to the side. Here's my other lid. I'll go ahead and unmold it for you. So I just go around 360 and break the seal, peel it back, and pull it right out. Very simple. Any little hang up you have around here, you should be able to pop right off. Like if you over poured. So I did lower the camera just a little bit so you can see it. These are the silicone mats, and at some point I'll do like an Amazon haul or something like that of all the items that I purchased from Amazon that kind of make my life a little bit easier when it comes to pouring cement. But I'll have to gather everything and look at my cart and see what I actually purchased. But anyway, these are the 2 jars that I poured. And so I over poured the margin here. I could have wiped it off. It's not a huge deal. You do the same thing. You break the seal. It's a little bit more difficult when you're breaking the seal on one of these molds in comparison to the lid, but it chips right off. So you break the mold or break the seal. And what I do is, remember I said last time that it's very thick here in comparison to here on the Shapemakery mold. You want to peel one side down, strong hands. So you're going to need to be able to hold one side while you work your way around to the other side, and you peel that side down also. And then what I do is flap it down one more time. Peel the rest up, squeeze and pinch, and then twist, and it should pop right out. All of this I'm not too worried about. It's still drying. So what I'll do is I'll come back at some point and show you guys the finished product. But like I said, any of that over pouring you have, any sharp edges, you can pop those off and then sand them. I don't have a sander. All I have is sandpaper, and it's really not strong enough to smooth this out. So I'm not too worried about it right now. But that's how that looks. So I'll show you again. Same mold. I didn't over pour this time. I break the seal. I take my thumbs and my index fingers, peel one side down. I hold it with my middle fingers and my index fingers, and then I take my index fingers and peel back the opposite side. So now I don't have to worry about holding it because I already have one side down that's going to hold it all for me. And then I fold down the second side. Pinch and twist, and it pops right out. So I don't have any defects there. So now we're going to unmold the jar I made with Modern Craft Labs. It has this little plastic girdle on it. I call it a girdle because it really is just supposed to hold everything in. It has this little plastic girdle on it. You should just slide that right up. It should come off really seamlessly. So same thing, you break the seal. And because I said in my last video that this portion here is a little thicker, it takes a little bit more muscle to peel it down. So grab it with your thumbs, peel that part down, bring it back, and that side should just pop right down. This side, I'm gonna try it anyway, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to use the same concept and flap it down one more time because it's so thick here. So with this, what I see a lot of people do is flip it over and pull it up. So I guess you could do the same thing. You just have to flip it and pull it up instead of pushing it down. So once you have it completely removed from the outside of your jar, all you got to do is struggle a little bit more to get it out of the center of your jar. So with this one, it's practically impossible for me to pinch and twist like I did with the smaller molds. So what I do is kind of get my fingers in there to break the seal a little bit, and then slowly start to work it out. And there we go. So that is our finished product. So I used about the same measurements as I did with my smaller ones. I think I used 300 grams of cement and 60 grams of water for just the bottom portion. And then I think I add another 150 to 200 for the top portion for the Shapemakery mold. And then another maybe 100 grams of water. I kind of play with it when I'm doing both. But for the jar alone, I did 600 grams of cement and about 250 grams of water, and then just kind of went from there. I just kind of played around with it. I'm sure you can find the measurements for these types of molds on the websites for Modern Craft Lab, but I like to kind of play around with it myself. So that is pretty much it for this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I'll try to answer them to the best of my ability, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.